Hi, I'm Stefano, the moon guy, and this video is going to be about the archetype of the moon. In our birth charts, we all have the moon falling in one of the zodiac signs, in one of the 12 houses, and very likely making contacts with other planets. The moon sign indicates our feeling and reactive nature, what makes us feel comfortable and safe, and where we retreat to recover and calm ourselves. It's also connected with how we perceived and experienced our mother, especially during childhood. The moon house is this sphere of life that makes us feel safe and that we belong. It's also where we tend to be quite sensitive to the needs of others and where we tend to experience a lot of ups and downs, different moods, and oscillation of behavior. And the moon aspects, they describe our childhood conditioning and later define our feeling nature and our instinctive responses to life in general. Also describes our domestic life, the ease and difficulties we find to take care and nurture ourselves and others, how at home we feel with ourselves and in responding to the environment. And then it also colors the image that we have from our mother. The lunar deities in mythology, they presided over the cycles of vegetation and also the human cycle of life and death. They govern the body and the instincts, and they're mostly female deities, they're goddesses, also connected to the fact that we all come from a female body and our first food is also from our mother. And we can think of the lunar cycle that happens every month to think of general characteristics of those goddesses. So, for instance, Artemis, which is connected with the waxing phase, so the phase where the moon is getting brighter and brighter, she was a huntress, very independent, with untamed instincts. We can also think of the wildness of the werewolves, the strength of the Amazons. With the full moon, we can think of Demeter, and she's a symbol for motherhood, fertility. We can also think of Hera, which that was the caretaker and provider of the family, connected with roots. And then we have Hecate, connected to the waning phase of the moon, which is related with sorcery, mystery, wisdom, also connected with how nature can also be cruel sometimes. And our access to those lunar images and myths, they're gonna depend a lot on what the moon is doing in our own birth charts, like we were talking before. So, for instance, someone with moon in Scorpio is gonna tend to value and be attracted to Hecate's depth and intensity, while someone with a Gemini moon is gonna tend to find it quite disturbing. And someone with a Taurian moon is gonna have a natural affinity with the matter, while someone with Aquarius moon or strongly connected with Uranus is not gonna relate so much. We all have a moon in our birth charts, so we can all feel and experience life through its lenses. Some people tend to get stuck there, and they have difficulty perceiving and seeing beyond their own immediate personal circumstances, while others, they perhaps don't look enough into the cyclical nature of reality, and they will probably struggle with just coping with daily life, and trusting their own instincts. People who have a strong, preeminent moon in their birth charts, changeability, and again, the cyclical nature of reality, they'll be dominant characteristics. Together, together with valuing the warmth and safety provided by human contact and relationships, much more than any abstract quest for meaning. There can be also a tendency for people with strong moon that personal emotions sometimes overshadow our reasoning and our sense of cooperation. We can think again of the lunar goddesses. They are very known for being very nurturing, but they're also known sometimes to be quite fierce and to be castrators and child swallowers, just to show this more irrational, ecstatic side of the archetype. With a blocked moon, may be very afflicted by other planets and therefore hard to access, the person can lose some or a lot of their connection with their own body and their own emotional needs. And in this case, not only the body hurts, but also our ability to experience life in the present moment, which is also a lot connected with the moon archetype. And this can trigger anxiety. The moon is also connected with our instinctual principle that knows how to take care and nurture ourselves. The more we are in touch with our moon, the less we're gonna feel resentful towards the other, our partner, for instance, when they're not doing the emotional feeding exactly in the way that we like. And if we are not in touch with our lunar needs and wisdom, the moon will manifest and express itself more unconsciously. And this can generate and trigger what we call compulsive patterns. So, eating disorders, hoarding money, using people, relationships as emotional food, those are classic manifestations of lunar malfunctions, which is when we create dependent and compulsive behaviors to compensate a sense of inner safety that we are not being able to provide to ourselves. Our primal relationship with our mother when we are babies and kids, it sets the tone to how we deal with relationships in the future and in general, including our relationship with our own body and our emotional needs. Aspects to the moon here can shed light into some of the roots of chronic anxieties and compulsive behaviors. The moon also represents the inner child from the past that it's still with us, that we carry with us. So it is important to develop an intimate and kind relationship with it, understanding its moods, its needs, in order to heal wounds from the past, especially when it comes to grieving an ideal mothering that we never had. Otherwise, there is the risk and the tendency that we'll look for this mothering in our future relationships, which can be quite messy and complicated. Now, to round it up, I'm gonna go briefly through characteristics of the moon in each of the four elements. So, starting with moon in fire, so Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius. Here, there is a profound need for meaning, an imaginative connection with a deeper or higher pattern, an urge to infuse life with a mythical dimension so that they can feel like they belong and they are part of a more significant reality. If those things are repressed, then there is the tendency that the person creates fantasies that are really cut off from reality. Earth moons, Taurus, Virgo, Capricorn. The body is the main key when it comes to the feeling of well-being. Although there are many things that we create that serve as a symbol for our body. For instance, our house can feel like our body, a kind of container. There's also a strong ritualistic quality, so a need to develop and maintain body centering experiences. There's a tendency for a certain resistance to material change and a need for ordering daily life uh, on a physical level, and a very strong need for human physical touch, which, if denied, especially during childhood, can generate deeply rooted issues of shame around bodily functions and needs. Moon in air, Gemini, Aquarius, Libra, there's a profound need for verbal interaction and stimulation on a mental level, a love for socializing and for playing with ideas and aesthetics. They also need a lot of space in relationships, and they can become quite dissociative and excessively analytical when threatened by too much intimacy from the other. And when there is a malfunction here, it can trigger sometimes apathy and even depression. And finally, with the watery moons, Cancer, Scorpio, and Pisces, there's a deep need to express their feelings. And this becomes also what draws people together. So, unresponsiveness can generate a lot of anxiety for them. They also connect the sense of safety with merging with others. So, for them, rejection can be especially challenging to deal with. It is important for them to develop and learn to nurture themselves and value their own feelings, even when it's not mirrored by the other. And here, when there is a lunar malfunction, there is a tendency to use manipulation to get the necessary attention and care. And in this situation, it's very common that in childhood there was a detached parent or a parent that was even needier than the child. So the child doesn't have space and feels guilty or ashamed of their own needs. I think that's it for this video. Thank you very much for watching. If you're interested in booking a consultation, if you're into astrology and what I do, please visit my website, thechartery.com, and subscribe to my channel, The Moon Guy. Ciao, ciao!